Episode 3, Embrace Your Beauty, Your Faith, and the Life Your Soul is Longing For. Welcome to Reviving Your Soul, where Christians are finding the courage to embrace their faith in all aspects of their lives so they can stop being bored or overwhelmed and begin to live the life in fulfillment and in peace that God created them for. I'm your host, Vanna Johnson. Let's get started. Today, I am honored and excited to introduce to you my very first guest on Reviving Your Soul. Her name is Maupin Barrett, and she's a woman on a mission. We'll talk about that in a minute. As Christians, we all know that there is no such thing as a coincidence, and that God has been weaving our lives together in this amazing network from the very beginning of our life. And He brings us together and at exactly the right time. Michelle came into my life because she had heard me speak at an event. Honestly, I didn't know who she was at the time, but she reached out to me on Facebook shortly after. We met for coffee and developed a great relationship ever since. We've been working together on a couple of missions or projects that you'll learn about later. And she just has such a beautiful story to tell. And so I've asked her to share that with us today. Michelle, will you please share with us your mission to help women to embrace their beauty?
Oh, Vana, I would love to. And before I get into that, though, I really want to thank you for inviting me to be on your podcast. Your friendship has just been such a blessing to me, and I'm grateful to be part of your journey. And so, thank you for letting me be here today.
Oh, it is completely my honor. Thank you.
So, my story is, um, well, we all have a story, right? And so, my story sometimes feels a little tragic when I talk to people about it, and I never intend it to be that way. But let me go back to kind of the beginning. I am a professional photographer here in Pierre. My passion is portrait photography, specifically portraits of women. And I've been taking pictures since I was 9 years old. I asked for a camera for my birthday or Christmas about that time, and I've been taking pictures ever since. And even went to college at Black Hill State to study photography. But as we all know, life sometimes happens. And I got married, and 9 months, almost to the day later, we had a little girl. And went about trying to make enough money to keep our little family afloat. And it unfortunately didn't involve a camera. But as I said, life just keeps happening, and I kept taking pictures. And in 2007, I lost my husband in a car accident. Um, one of those things that just happens. Another driver crossed the center line, and we lost him instantly.
Yeah.
And you go home for lunch, never expecting your entire world to change. And I went home that day. I'd been training a young man. I was a sales manager for an insurance company. Went home that morning after our training time, fully intending to catch back up with him later that day. I don't think I ever saw him again. Highway patrol showed up at my door, and my world changed. And I, at the time, I started writing a lot about my husband and about our life. And anyone who's ever gone through that, it's just a very traumatic time. And I started realizing some things about my husband. And one of the things that I realized is that he was such a beautiful, godly man. And that as far as I knew, he'd never lied to me, except about one thing. And he would always tell me how beautiful I was. And I never believed him. But after he passed away, in reviewing a lot of those conversations and a lot of those moments, I realized that he truly meant it. That I really, truly was the most beautiful woman in the world to him. And I never really got to thank him for that. Yet. Because I know where he's at. And right. I know I get to see him again. one day. And about the same time, within that same time frame, I read an article by, I think it was Ann Landers or Dear Abby, one of those. And this woman wrote in and she was talking about her Aunt Peggy. And her Aunt Peggy had passed away. And she said, you know, it's so sad because Aunt Peggy was a little overweight. And so every time someone pointed a camera at her, she either put her hand in front of her face or she turned her face away. And now she's gone and we have no pictures of her, no good pictures of her. And she said, she was such a beautiful influence on my life and I have no pictures of her. And she said, dear Anne, I'm not asking for advice. She goes, I just want you to talk to your readers and just tell them that when someone points a camera at them, to just look at the lens and smile, because someday they won't be here and that's all we'll have to remember them by. And all of this stuff, Vonna, just started stewing in my heart. And I pondered on it and I thought, you know, I have to do something with this. And so I went out and spent a ridiculous amount of money on a camera and started taking pictures. And in 2011, I moved back to South Dakota. I had been in Oklahoma for many years and decided I was going to be a portrait photographer, going to take pictures. That's what I was going to do. Well, do you remember the part, Vonna, where I said life keeps getting in the way?
It always does.
It always does. I moved back. I rented a little ranch over by Wall, South Dakota, which is in western South Dakota, and was having a wonderful, wonderful time. And in 2012, my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I ended up moving back to Pierre, to our hometown. And realized it was time to get really serious about this photography thing. And started investing money in portraits or in what I needed to do to take the portraits, the classes, the gear, that sort of thing. Because in watching my mother, and so this is my story. I told you all that to get to this point. My mother died without any formal portraits ever really being taken of her. I've got some really beautiful pictures of her because I'm a good photographer, but I don't have any formal portraits of her. And I thought, ladies, we need pictures. We need pictures of our mothers. We need pictures of our sisters. We need pictures of our daughters. We need pictures of ourselves, because to someone in this world, we are the most beautiful woman in the world. And Vonna, I'm going to prove that to you right now.
Okay.
So, how many children do you have?
I have 3 children.
You have 3 children, and I know you're married,
Mm-hmm.
and have been for many years.
Yep. Very blessed.
If something were to happen to you today, how would your family react?
Yeah.
You don't really have to answer that.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know that I can. Yes, but I know your point well taken.
when our mothers are gone, there's nothing that can ever replace that. When our spouses are gone, there's nothing that can ever really replace that. And the only thing that's left are the memories and the love. And that's what I talk about with my portraiture. When we sit in front of a camera, almost to a woman, when they sit down in my studio, they go, no one can take a good picture of me. You know what? I'll come back and you can take my picture after I lose 20 pounds. You know, I am so ugly. Oh, you know, I can't do it. These are the excuses that I hear. And I am just as bad as anyone else. I don't really like to have my portrait taken. But I have a young woman that I gave birth to, that I know if something ever happens to me, she will miss me more than life. And I also know that to her and to my late husband, I am truly the most beautiful woman in the world.
Truly. Yeah.
Cosmopolitan is not going to call me and ask me to model for them.
You don't know that.
I'm pretty sure. But Kimberly and Gary both think that I'm the most beautiful woman in the world, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I can truly embrace that now. And that's what I want to talk to women about is we need to own this, Fauna. We need to own that those 3 children that you have and that husband that you have truly, truly think you're beautiful.
Yeah. Um, and thank you for sharing that beautiful short story, Michelle. You know, for those of you who don't know, part of Michelle and my story together is that after we started just visiting about life and our businesses and things like that, I contracted with Michelle to do the photography work for so that I could rebrand and update my website. And um, at first it was, I'm sure I was probably the most difficult um, customer she's ever had because I'm very particular and everything had to be just so. But um, together, and it's magical. The pictures, when you look at them, there's she just truly captures the essence, and even with our natural flaws and the things that just make us who we are, she's able to just bring to life. And so yeah, I encourage people to go check out the pictures just to see. And it's not about me, and it's not even about Michelle's photography. It's about the message today and how important it is that we embrace our beauty and quit trying to hide from the world, and quit trying to have this sense. We somewhere along the way we've been convinced that to be humble we need to pretend that we aren't worthy. And God doesn't want us to be that way. He wants us to accept ourselves and our bodies exactly the way that He created them. And
Exactly. And that's my message as well as yours. It's just, we are so beautiful.
right,
Um, God did not create us to be anything but beautiful.
right. And honestly, what I think a lot of people don't realize is, you can fall on two ends of that spectrum. You can fall so in love with yourself and be so arrogant that that's not what He wants either. But the other end of the spectrum is that hating yourself and not wanting to share your beauty is just as wrong as the end of the spectrum where you're completely in love with yourself, in the way that is arrogant. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
And so it's just about becoming the best version of ourselves, and not being afraid to put ourselves out there and let the world know who we are, both inside and outside, and being who we are. um, is there anything else that you want to share? I kind of jumped in there, and I just want to make sure that I didn't cut you off before you were finished with your story there.
No, that's the main thing is just my mission, my business truly is just talking to women and helping them own their worth, not just their beauty. And I tell people, Vana, I have a superpower. I totally own my superpower. I believe that women are beautiful. And
Yes.
it doesn't matter whether you're a large woman or a curvy woman or, a tiny, tiny woman. Um, I believe that you're beautiful. And I honestly believe that my camera captures that. And
Amen. Amen.
and and so I believe that's what I'm able to show women. And I offer a special in my studio. I offered it for Mother's Day, and it's just kind of a continuing thing. um, if you're a woman and you just want to come in and have your portrait taken, I will take the time and I will just do that for you, because you should have the opportunity to have a beautiful image taken of yourself. And I've told my ladies, if you don't love your image, you don't own it. You don't have to buy anything from me. There's no obligation. I just want you to have the opportunity to feel beautiful and to see your own beauty.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
no, and it's just it's so interesting to me, Vonna. And it going back to, it doesn't matter if they're a curvy woman. It doesn't matter if they're the size 2. I hear the same things from pretty much every woman who walks in the door, and it's just heartbreaking. They're the way they view themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, which is really important, and um, which kind of brings me to an effort that you and I are working on together.
Hmm.
I'm really excited about this, and
Me too.
kind of want to use this as a platform to share a joint effort that we've created, and it's coming up very soon on June 9th in Fort Pierre. For those of you who aren't local, let us know if you want. Maybe we can come and visit you where you are. But have created an event, a workshop, if you will. It's just a morning deal, Saturday, June 9th. It's called Embrace. Embrace your beauty, your faith, and the life your soul is longing for. And what we really want to do there is um, help women do just what Michelle has been talking about, and that is to just love who we are and embrace the life that we've created. And if we are living a life that isn't the one that God created us for, start that conversation about how we can begin to love who we are and live
Hmm.
that life that we were created for. So um, do you have anything you want to share about that as far as our invitation to women to come and join us for the workshop?
Well, I do. It's going to be an exciting morning. It's not very long, but what we're going to be doing is just talking about um, embracing, uh, as Vonna was saying, your beauty, your faith, and the life your soul is longing for. Vonna and I were just talking about that before the podcast a little bit. That and I don't want to give anything away because she's going to be talking about this later, but um, we both kind of finally feel that we've embraced
Mm.
who we are and who we're meant to be, and we're finding that life we've been longing for years. And I'm so excited about it, and that's what we want to share with you. One of the great fun things that we're going to be doing that morning is I'm bringing my studio with me. I'm going to set up and I'm going to be doing headshots, beautiful images of women, and that's just included in the cost. You're going to get a digital a retouched digital image, which I feel like is the best version of you, um, that you get to. Well, you won't get to go home with it that day because I have to spend some time in, at the computer with it, but you'll get it within a day or two. I'm so excited to share those with you guys and to show you the process of how we do what we do. And so that's my part is I get to take pictures, which yay,
Yeah, yeah.
that's my thing. And but yet uh, uh, hopefully when you walk out the door, you'll feel a little fresher and a little more in touch and a little more beautiful.
Exactly. And what we'll be doing is Michelle will be telling her story there again, and
Hmm.
we'll be delving into and having a conversation with the people that are there, because so we get so busy with life that we don't take time to just appreciate our lives sometimes, and get together with women who
Hmm.
love and enjoy the things that we do. So it's a little glimpse of that ability to just go immerse yourself um, in the enjoyment of life with other women who love the Lord and want to share some time together. So um, I'm just really excited about being able to help women live more confidently in the power that they've been giving as a child of God. So I think it's going to be a fun morning. We'll have a link to some more information about that at the bottom of this podcast. Um, so thank you for sharing all of that, Michelle. And before we wrap up, I just have a couple of questions for you.
Mhm.
Can you share something that you love to do besides photography? I hope, because we can feel the passion there already. But is there something else that you love to do that helps revive your soul?
Oh, yes. I love to travel. That's one of my favorite things, but specifically to travel to my friends and my family
Yeah.
and spend a little time just resting and recreating with them. So that's one of the main things that revives me.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes, I agree. I love that. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, do you have a favorite scripture or a saying that you'd like to share today?
I do. And it goes back to um, when I lost my husband. Um, the day after the accident, we went to the site of the accident. His brothers um, and one of my sisters-in-law and the highway patrolman and I. And this was up in the mountains in Colorado. And we're along the Arkansas River, and we're everyone's kind of sitting on the guardrail just looking at what happened, and they're telling us about it. And um, the trooper who was standing next to me, his name was Trooper Kennedy, was looking out at the Arkansas River, and he just said to me, "Michelle, would you look at that?" And I turn around, and hovering right above us is a bald eagle. I mean, like 10
Mm,
feet away, just in flight. And the Lord brought to me Psalm 91, verse 4, and he said, "He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler." And um, essentially, what I got from the Lord right then was, "I've got this, Michelle. I've got this." And Vonna, he's had it every single minute since then. And I stand on that verse.
that's very beautiful. I'm covered in goosebumps right now, so excuse me while I go grab a blanket. No, thank you. That is what very touching. Yeah. Isn't
Thank
it
you.
isn't it amazing? I mean, we started out talking about how God has this beautiful plan woven out, and it all just, we don't always get to see how it's going to turn out, but when we trust, and yeah, it just, if we believe that the promises that he gives us, it does unfold, and he does have our back. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So that kind of wraps up what we have today. I really appreciate everyone for joining us, and if you're still with us, for hanging in this long. Um, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the world. Thank you for sharing your story with us today, and for your friendship. It's meant so much to me. For those that are listening, if you're interested in seeing Michelle's work, you can go to her website, which I will have a link to at the bottom of this, or you can go to vannajohnson.com and see the work that she did specifically for me. I want you to please stop back, if you enjoyed what you heard today. Stop back for next week's episode of Reviving Your Soul. And I'll be talking there about, that whole coming into that place that we're being called to do. I've got a couple of episodes coming up where I'll just be really talking about my experiences and how my whole life has been leading me to this place today, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So, if you have enjoyed this, I would very much appreciate it if you would leave your comments on iTunes, and then like and share the link with your friends. Thank you so much for coming, and please have an amazing day.